Order my steps. Oh man, I don't know. One day I will have a theme song, so you guys are not subjected to my random songs that come up. I promise you, I can hold a note. As a matter of fact, you probably know that if you come to the events, because I do sing from time to time. Back up. Occasionally, I'm forced to lead a song. Not really my desired method of music, but hey, yeah. But please order my steps in your word. Cool. So you gotta have a vibrato if you're really gonna sing. That makes it anointed. Welcome back to the Creators World Podcast. My name is Justin. I am your host. The Creators World Podcast exists to refresh, renew, and revitalize Christian creatives on their God-given journeys and purposes. The road gets tough. The road is rough. The road is long. The road is arduous. The road is filled with potholes and so many other things. But at the end of the day, we got to keep doing what God has called us to do. So, this podcast exists to talk about the things that cause those things, give you practical tips to um, avoid those types of situations. But the fact of the matter is, they're not really avoidable. It's just we got to figure out how to get through them. So, this podcast helps you just really get through the things. It gives you language for situations that you might feel that you are alone in. But guess what? You're not alone because there's common suffering to all man. It's in the Bible somewhere. Can't remember at this moment. I think it's like First Peter 4:10. No, something like that. No, it's like after you have suffered for a while. 5:10. I don't know. Like I said, other thing about this podcast, totally random. We'll just it's not edited, so you get what you get. But yeah, thank you for those who are tuning in again. I appreciate you for being back. For those who are watching for the first time, hope you stay. Hope you made it through the crazy song at the beginning. Speaking of song, I've got a new song that I'm actually going to be releasing at the Create as well in person event. So this platform was actually started in 2022 as an in person event. I took a break in 2023 because I released Holy Hoodlum, but came back in 2024, January 2024, with another in-person event. I'm following that up this year in February 1st of 2025. So this will be the third in-person event of the Create as well. But in between all of that, we launched this podcast at the. You know what's interesting? Creators and entrepreneurs always say we. Say we if it's a we, but it's just a me. And I mean, I guess the we could be me and God. So me and God or we, but like as far as like the human involved, it's just me. And that's not a slight on anybody who has helped me and has supported me, any of that. I'm just saying, like, when people be like, yeah, we launched this, we did this, it's you and your computer, right? It's you, your computer, and God. So if that's a we, then let it be. Bars. But at the end of last year, at the end of 2024, I finally started the podcast that I had been thinking about since 2020, to pour into creatives for this reason, because yeah, a lot happens, right? A lot happens. And if you don't have somebody that can get you out of your head, or even can kind of be in your head in a way that shows you that you're seen and you're heard, and again that other people are going through this, it's useful, right? So that's why the Creators World exists. We're not just in-person events, we are an online podcast community. I can't wait to do more, but right now I'm trying to go on a pace, trying to pace myself, because again it is just me right now, but I'm looking forward to having more collaborators, more people that are interested in the work that we're doing. um, and yeah, so today, I want to talk a little bit about my journey in a way, and I think I give pieces of this it's from time to time, but this goes into the topic that I would really like to discuss today, um, which is really like, should you do a thing, right? So, because the fact of the matter is, in 2024, 2025, wow, yeah, it's still gotta get used to the year changing. In 2025, we have access to so many resources, so many things that can allow us to do so many other things. So, for example, growing up in the 90s, born in 93, I didn't have a whole lot of technology, right? And the technology that I did have was clunky at times. It was just kind of, there. But now technology's at our fingertips. It's, we got phones, we got Apple Watches, we got, all all sorts of stuff. Heat presses that can make a shirt like this. I make my own merch now, right? But like there wasn't a lot of accessibility to things when I was first growing up. But now there's a lot of sorry, now I'm like seeing something in my beard. There's a lot of accessibility to items now, so it makes it more complicated to figure out what to do. So backing up, when I started officially, my first iteration of my business was JR Consulting. Started in 2017. I don't even remember what the motto of that one was. I don't remember. It's been a while. Whatever it was stupid. It was probably good for the time, but looking back at it now, if I looked at it like that doesn't even make sense. But started in 2017. Did some of everything: payroll, human resources. I was hiring. I was letting people go. I like scouting for people. I was just doing some of everything. And my first job out of school was I worked at a small business. I won't say the name. I worked at a small business in Northern Virginia, and anyone who's ever worked at a small company, it wasn't a startup, but it operated as if it was a startup. It had been in existence for like 20 years at that point, and they had good cash flow, had money coming. Like it was a legitimate business, but in a lot of ways it operated as if it was a startup because I was doing some of everything. Right, I was business operations specialist, I think was my title. But I did payroll. I was part of HR. I helped with account management. I helped with project management. I helped with office administration. I managed the interns that were coming in. Like I did some of everything. So that job helped awaken a lot of skills within me that I need now in my business, but it also taught me that I was capable of doing a lot of things. But it also gave me the false truth that I should do everything, right? So that bled over into my business, right? So I took my corporate work and just kind of moved it to a business. So I did payroll, I did projects. I wanted to do events. Like that's always been the thing. I've always wanted to do events ever since the National Society of Engineers days, where I was a part of. Well, I was the program chair, so I was the one who put on the events. So, like, I've always liked to do events. So here I am in 2017, starting this very random business, just doing some of everything just to get some money. And in 2020, right before the world shut down, uh, I really heard the Lord say like you need to rebrand and like kind of niche down. And I was like, who needs to do that? Niching down is for losers. um, and he was like, I'm not telling you to like just work with like just one person, but like narrow is the way to salvation. That's out of context, but like that is a scripture in Matthew. But like he was like, take this and just make it smaller. Like not telling you get rid of it, but like make it smaller, make it make sense. And that was, erasing um, like all the grass cutting, the random stuff that I was doing as part of the business, right? Like, someone someone told me she was like, I wouldn't imagine if the person cutting my grass is gonna help me with my taxes or payroll, and like, is that a limiting belief? Yes, but from a marketing and branding perspective, that makes total sense, right? Like if you go to a lawn guy or woman, or if you go to a lawn care professional, you're probably not assuming that they also do the internal business stuff, right? They just don't really go together. Doesn't mean that you can't do them together, but you'd have to brand it as such as like I do it all, or like I do the inside. I keep your outside business together. I keep your inside business together. I don't know. Maybe I just gave somebody that slogan. Cool. Just give me $100. We call it even. But um, in that process, I was just doing some of everything, and I almost refused to really bring stuff down. Not because I wanted to do all these random things, but because I felt like I needed all of those input streams to get me the revenue that I wanted. I didn't believe that just niching down and focusing on whatever the one or two things that God wanted me to do would be worth it. And so that was my limiting belief, right? And I've got plenty of them. I have plenty of limiting beliefs. Let me tell you, that's a conversation for a whole nother day. That's probably like 5 podcasts in and of itself. But with that, in 2020, I finally was obedient once the world shut down because I had nothing else to do. And I wrote down all my clients at the time, and the Lord was like, keep this one, get rid of that one, keep this one, redo this one, like have a conversation with this one. And there was one in particular that I put on the list, but I didn't ask God about it because to me, I felt like that client was it needed to stay. And so yeah, long story short, that didn't really work out. That client went up in flames in a lot of ways. And I should not have been a part of the flames because I should have gotten out of it in 2020. And I felt uneasy, right? Like I felt like maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe I should put this on the chopping block as well. But I decided that I knew best. Like I was willing to let the Lord consider the rest. I was willing to put those up for the chopping block. But this one, it was kind of near to my heart, and I just felt for various reasons, but I just felt like I needed to keep it. And in keeping it, it nearly destroyed me. It almost destroyed a relationship, and almost destroyed it was bad. It was just very 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 bad. Um, so looking back at it, and here's the thing, it wasn't so much that I couldn't do the work. It was that the work was no longer aligned with where I needed to go. So I think that's the thing that I want to like specify, because a lot of times we think of things like, you know, if let's take an off the wall example. Well, you're not going to fly a rocket ship if you've never done any sort of air training, right? So like if I don't have any sort of like like I have a driver's license, right? But my driver's license does not equal my ability to fly an aircraft. I can't fly a rocket ship. I can't fly a plane. I can't do any of that. But the belief would be you'd be like, oh, let me just apply for this position. Let me just get into it. Let me do it, right? It's easy to say that you should not be that aircraft pilot. You should not be a part of that. That's easy because you don't have the license, you don't have the qualifications, you don't fit in. But it is harder to say, I have the license to be an aircraft carrier or aircraft pilot. I have the training. I've done all the hours. I have the experience. I've done it. And now the Lord is telling me not to do it. Or the Lord is saying, not right now. Or the Lord is saying, not in this situation. That's where it gets harder. That's where your obedience has to match your faith. Your faith has to be that God is not going to steer you wrong. Order my steps in your word, dear Lord. A little better that time, but you have to believe that ordering is actually going to be there to help you, not to harm you, right? Thoughts to prosper, thoughts to give you hope and expected end. Jeremiah 29:11, not to harm you, right? um, but a lot of times we don't believe that. And so what I want to go through today is even after 2020, it's now 2025. It's about 4.5 years later since the I find myself in a similar position again because while I niched down in 2020, like that's when I did my rebrand and became the JR Group. Like I went from JR Consulting, now the JR Group. But in that, what was interesting to me was that I got to what I've been passionate about. So creating experiences, creating events, producing events, managing projects of that sort, right? Like that's the thing that really like makes me excited to do business, makes me excited to serve people. So yeah, so now I really only work with creatives, small churches. I mean, creatives, churches, and small companies, right? These is what I call it of like what the JR Group does. And even with that, like I have to be ready for any iteration that may or may not come. Like maybe we're gonna get to the point where we don't. Do the things. What does this thing say? It says, oh yeah, consulting, events, management, and content. Oh, you can't see it. Consulting, events, management, and content. This was the JR group. So we've got the consulting, that's like the projects and stuff, the events, the tour management, client management, and content is stuff like this. So right now, the JR group is currently doing all of the four buckets that we talked about in the initial rebrand in 2020. But I still find myself with certain roles outside of those four buckets. And so you've got to, like, my encouragement to every creative, every entrepreneur, every purpose seeker, every person listening to this podcast is like, whether it's annually at the top of the year, right? People love to do stuff or your birthday or at the end of the year or whatever the case might be. Put all the things that are on your list like up for grabs, because if you're holding on to something and you're not even willing to um hold on, sorry, um again, I get distracted. I didn't put my phone on do not disturb today, and I need to. If you're not willing to put that thing up for the Lord to remove, it becomes an idol. And I know we don't like to use those words. It sounds very Old Testament y, right? It sounds very like third world, like Eastern world. Like we don't have that here. But if I'm saying that a certain job, a certain gig, a certain stream of income, a certain opportunity is more important than the God to lead me, then it becomes an idol. And I've done that. I've allowed that to happen. There's a job I'm doing now that I'm working on my exit plan now because the Lord's like, it's just time to go. But if I were to tell you what it is, if I were to tell you who I'm working with, I'm going to tell you like what I get to do, you would be like, why would you give that up? And I would be like, I don't know. um, I could tell you because it's not aligned. And so here's the thing with alignment, you know if it's aligned or not, right? Like a lot of times we do this. I need a sign. I need this. Like we put a whole Gideon thing, and we'll talk about Gideon one of these days. But Gideon asked the Lord, like I think it was three times, for a sign. Like, well, Lord, make sure, like, if it's really you, make sure all the grass is dry. Like, there's no dew in the morning, and there's one spot, or like it was like there's no moisture on the grass. And then the next time he was like, well, make sure there's no moisture in like this one particular area or whatever the case is. Like he was just looking for sign after sign after sign. We know, like we really know in our heart of hearts when something is for us and when something's not. And here's the thing: when I was offered this position that I'm currently planning to leave, this like opportunity that I'm currently planning to leave, I did not feel like 100% like, yeah. I was kind of like, okay, yeah, let's see where this goes. Yeah, yeah. And that should have been the indication there. If you trust your gut, but we call it the Holy Spirit, your discernment, then you should really be like, I don't really know if I should do that. I don't know if I should be a part of this relationship. I don't know if I should join this collective. I don't know if I should take this gig. I don't know if I should work with this client. I don't know if I should do this project, right? That I should produce this thing or whatever. Like you tend to know. Like I can say without a shadow of a doubt, the create as well is something I'm meant to do. And the crazy thing about it is that like it's not like a plea, but like, hey, if you want to, go ahead. It makes me no money, right? I'm trying to think. It it does not make me money above the expenses that I pay out for it to work. I'll put it that way. And maybe that's bad business. Maybe I just need to work on a better budget. But like the types of shows I would like to produce and give you the experiences, um, yeah. Like I'm doing this YouTube podcast. A couple people are watching them. It's great. I appreciate every single person who watches. I really do. I wish I could know who you were. I would send you all individual text messages because it's only like 40 of you. So I know I can text you, I can call you, I can do whatever. And I'm excited about that. But the fact of the matter is, YouTube doesn't recognize this as a monetized platform or podcast until there's 1,000 subscribers and over 4,000 watch hours. We could probably get to the watch hours because I talked for a while and y'all actually seem to listen, but we don't have the subscribers. So we're not making money off of this. So truly, this is a labor of love at this point. I pay for the what is it called, Restream. I pay for Restream to actually record the podcast, have the logos up, do whatever to go live. Like that's a subscription every month. I had to buy, the mic, like I had to buy the lights, like money has gone out, and I'm laboring in love, and I mean that. But I can honestly say that this is something that is aligned for me to do. So maybe it will never make money. Maybe it will always just be something that we have this intimate community, a powerful community of people that are being impacted. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's all there is to it. But I can say that I look forward to doing this. I look forward to talking with you guys. I look forward to getting on the camera. I don't really like the camera stuff for real, but I like it when it's worthwhile. And I feel like it's worthwhile in this instance, in this iteration of this business. So this is something that I feel like I should, in fact, do. Whereas the thing has a decent check, gig, and even with that, like even from the beginning, I was like, I don't know, and I think we often will like try to rationalize that away. Well, they're paying me, so maybe I'm just uncomfortable because I've never done it before, or I don't know them that well, or maybe I'm intimidated. Whatever the case is, listen to yourself. Like, trust yourself. But if you don't trust yourself, trust the God that's within you, that He's not going to lead you astray, right? Like that's kind of where I want to really go with this. And so, I want to give you a scripture scenario. Um, it is in First Samuel chapter 30. So this is about David. Um, and I'm gonna skim around a little bit, but starting at one. Now it happened when David and his men came to Ziklag on the third day that the Amalekites have invaded the south and Ziklag and attacked Ziklag and burned it with fire, and had taken captive the women and those who were there from small to great. They did not kill anyone, but carried them away and went on their way. So David and his men came to the city, and there it was, burned with fire, and their wives and sons and their daughters had been taken captive. And David and the people who were with him lifted up their voices and wept until they had no more power to weep. Now that's a cry. That's a cry right there. When you cry so much that you don't have much more left, that was me on Sunday at church. That took me to another place. We're gonna talk about that one day too. And David's two wives, Ahinoam and the Jezreelites, and Abigail, the widow of Nabal and Carmelite, had been taken captive. You got two very different names there, but anyway. Now David was greatly distressed, for the people spoke of stoning him, because the soul of all the people were grieved, every man for his sons and his daughters. But David strengthened himself in the Lord, his God. Some versions say, and David encouraged himself in the Lord. And sometimes you have to encourage yourself. Cool. Then David said to Abiathar the priest, Ahimelech's son, please bring the ephod here to me. And Abiathar brought the ephod to David. And this is the important verse. Well, not, they're all important. Verse 8. So David inquired of the Lord, saying, shall I pursue this troop? Shall I overtake them? And the Lord answered, pursue, for you shall surely overtake them, and without fail recover all. You shall recover all. Shall I pursue? Yes, you shall recover all. That's the question that I want every one of us to ask in every endeavor. Shall I pursue? Shall I do this thing? And it's challenging and it's hard because as creatives, especially in this economy, we're trying to make money. We're trying to make a living. We're trying to make a side hustle. We're trying to make a viable stream of income that resembles more of a river than a trickle. Like, we're looking for success in the way that the world sees success in this capitalist free market society. Like, we are looking for that level of success. But at the end of the day, we have to ask the Lord, shall I pursue? Now, here's the thing. David at this point has slayed Goliath, so he knows that God is on his side. Before Goliath, he had like what the bear in the fields and whatever. He was the shepherd tending to the sheep, and I believe this is not his first military conquest as king. So he has like a track record already. So putting on imagination, if you will, not to say there's no reason for him to have asked God, but like he could, as the king, as the military leader of Israel, he could have just said, "Let's get him." Like he could have just said, "Let me seek my revenge," or "Let me just do what I've done before and fight and win because it's worked before." But he chose in this moment to say, God, shall I pursue? Shall I do this thing? Do you want me to do what I've done before, or do you want me to possibly do a new thing? And even in the thing that I've done before, do you want me to do it the same way? And I think as us as creatives, we have got to get to the point where we say, God, I know I can produce videos. I know I can edit videos. I know I can speak. I know I can sing songs. I know I can write songs. I know I can for me, I know I can produce events. I know I've done this event. But should I do it? Should I do it? Should I do the thing that I'm actually gifted to do? And that's a different level of like that's a different level of faith and like trust, because if he says no, then you also have to be like, well wait, did you really mean no? Did you mean it? Like, you sure? Um, so yeah. So for me this year, one of the things I started writing down, I haven't finished yet. I'm gonna do it is like writing down all the stuff that's going on in my life, and just asking God like, should I do this? Shall I pursue this? Should I go forward? Because I was supposed to record this episode last night. So I'm actually recording this on Tuesday. They come out Tuesday at 9:30. And if anybody knows me, I'm not a morning person, so it's coming a little late. It's 10 o'clock right now. About to finish up. Supposed to episode, but like I, last night, yesterday. I don't like Mondays in general, right? Mondays are just not my favorite day, and I think this Monday was interesting because I like again I don't like Mondays, but one of the things that the thing that I'm planning to leave is getting very like not even stressful, just taxing, right? Because the work is not hard for me, but it's taxing. It's annoying. It's an annoyance, right? And I'm irritated by it. And I have a show coming up on February 1st, the Create as Well in-person experience. If you are local, you should come. If you're not local, you should still come. Um, but I have a show coming up, so I've got a lot of that stuff going on in my head, like keeping that stuff together. There's a lot of like intricate pieces that need to be like done, things that legitimately need to be done regarding that, and um like just a lot of other stuff too. Like I still have like just because I'm doing my show doesn't mean client work stops. Doesn't mean I'm stopping producing tours. Doesn't mean I'm doing whatever else. I'm just adding this in this season, right? I've got this podcast. I've got other brands to worry about. I've got to think about like merchandise launches. I've got revenue goals to hit this year. So like a whole bunch of other stuff. So like yesterday, I felt extremely cloudy in the mind. So brief thing on Sunday, we had worship service, and um, it was very powerful. Like to the point where I fell to my knees. And that's never actually like I'm not a performative person. Like I'm not gonna be the one crying just to like invoke emotions of other people. But like I literally fell because like the weight of God's glory was that heavy in the moment, and I was like, oh, interesting. And cried and worshipped and all of the things, and to a point where I was just like, "Ooh, I'm tired." So Sunday then went to have a meeting after church. Did some troubleshooting after church. Like it was not like a busy day after church. Took a short nap, not my normal 12-hour Sunday nap, which would have been nice, but it didn't happen. And then went home, just kind of went straight to bed, and then woke up. And I think the problem was one, I had not processed all that I felt like the Lord was saying to me in that moment of worship and that time. So that was still like a burden on me because like the Lord's burden is light. Like his burden is easy, his yoke is light. Yoke is easy, burden's light. But it still was something I needed to process, something I needed to think through, something I need to pray through. Then Monday, back to work type of thing, and then client stuff, like all stuff just kind of coming back. And then I started just, it was very cloudy, and I was just like, I can't get anything done. Like the smallest of tasks, the simplest of asks, the simplest of text message, I couldn't send it. I just couldn't. Like all I could do was sit and hope that work was going to be easy, and hope that other things are going to be easy. But last night I was like, okay, I need to record this podcast. I was going to go to the gym. Then after the gym, I was going to take a shower, and then I was just going to sit down and record like this episode for today, and hopefully another one for next week. But I went to the gym, sat outside the gym. My AirPods would not connect. The gym was busy. And at that point I was like, you know what? I no, I'm not doing it. So I just went home, and I came home and I went to bed, and that was it. Like well, no, I got into bed and I was like, Lord, I don't like this brain fog. I don't like this cloudiness. I don't like this at all. Like this is not okay. Like this isn't good. I need your help. And I felt the Lord, like I it was a long prayer, and I really felt the Lord lift some weights and kind of like refocus my mind and put me back where I needed to be. But like really brought back to my attention, I need to write out this list, and like so I can see the things that I'm doing that maybe don't need to be done, right? So again, back to that shall I pursue, because everything that I'm doing, I have the ability to do. Nothing is outside of my realm of scope of abilities, right? And I think that's the key thing, because a lot of times you can just get caught up in stuff that you can do. You can doesn't mean you should, and that's the moral here. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. It's easy. If you can't do it, that tells you shouldn't do it, right? Right now, like I can't bench 300 pounds. I'm not going to put 300 pounds on either side of the bar, right? That would be crazy. Why would I do that? I can bench in the hundreds, I guess, like 100s, like mid to upper, like as I've been starting back. I can do that. But there are some days I'm tired. So should I do it? Even though I know that my body has the capability to push at this point, to push that weight, should I do it? Right? Like it's that simple. I've been running for, someone's out here running for 6 days a week. Should you do the seventh? Just because you can, maybe you need to rest. Maybe God wants you in this season to rest, even though you can go on the speaking engagements, even though you can work the graphics and production and do whatever. Maybe you just shouldn't. So that's my lesson today. Should you pursue? I don't know. You ask God, because I can't tell you. Um, but yeah, so Create as Well, in person event, Saturday, February 1st, Woodbridge, Virginia, 7 p.m. It's gonna be a good time. It's just gonna be a good time. Jasmine Sims will be here. Jazeer Willis will be here. I will be there. You will be there. Hopefully, we'll have a skit. We've got music. We've got all the things. It's just gonna be fun. So I would encourage you to come. I would encourage you to, yeah, I would just encourage you to come. I would highly encourage you to come. I think it will be worth your time. I think it'll be well worth your investment. Right now, tickets are $25, and for $25, let me just tell you, you have the opportunity to participate in the pitch competition. And the pitch competition, the winner of the pitch competition will get $500, which is not like millions, but it's more than you had. And so for $500, you can put a down payment on a MacBook. You can buy some lights. You can buy studio equipment. You could buy a whole bunch of stuff for your business, for your pitch, for $500. So part of me is like, again, I want to pour into creatives, but I also want to be practical, because sometimes you just need money, right? Like you can have a great idea for like merchandise that's gonna change the world, but if you don't have um, if you don't have it, you don't have it. You just don't. And so that's just something for me that like that's really really important. um, it's yeah, it's really important to me to make sure that stuff makes sense, right? Um, so yeah, I think that's really it. Oh, sorry, I'm starting to tell you about it, and I just tell you about that. So, there's a pitch competition. There's a pre-show, where some raffles will be giving away some prizes, just some fun, some games, just different stuff like that. There will be a skit. One of the things I always feel is that I want events to be able to um, resonate with different parts of different people. So some people love music. I can do music all day long, but that's not everybody, right? Some people love dance. So there's going to be a dance. There's going to be a skit. There's going to be a spoken word. There's just regular talking. Like it'll be essentially a live podcast show, as well. So I'll be doing some of this there, but some people get bored by talking. Some people don't like the conversational type of aspect of things. So we've got the music. We've got all sorts of stuff. So for $25, you're getting more than $25 worth of content and instruction and chances and opportunities. And you can turn that $25 into $500, to be completely honest, which is amazing. Like just really sitting there thinking about that is crazy to me. Um, and if you pay for VIP, you get your headshot. So you get to have a headshot taken. Grammar is important. For for $50, you get your headshot. That's not good. You get a headshot for $50. If you pay VIP prices, so for you'll get a headshot with Servant Studios. He has amazing ones. They'll be up on my social media. So every creative, every business person, every person needs headshots, to be honest, because somebody will, at some point in your life, somebody will ask you for a picture of you, and your Facebook photo of you taking a selfie with the seatbelt over you in your car, it's not going to cut it. It's not appealing. Nobody wants to see that. We just don't. Mm-mm. No. So, I am looking forward to that because again, I like to offer legitimate things that will be practically useful for people. So yeah, so that's something that we will do. Yeah, so that's the event. So it will be in the description like it was last time. But yeah, I will see you all then. Until next week, order our steps, Lord. Shall we pursue?